Hello, I'm Briony Pete. I am the founder of The Circular Life, and we provide coaching, strategy and engagement support to organisations who are leading change. A lot of our work is in climate and health, in green business and improving social impact, but we also work to develop and strengthen the leadership qualities of people within those organisations who are leading and delivering change. This video is sharing with you 5 insights that we use with our clients around developing leadership qualities and around using culture and culture change strategy to help create greater impact and reach within green plans and programs. So the two might sound a bit separate to you, but actually when we look under the surface, they're all about developing people and giving people the opportunity to grow. So, number 1, check in with yourself first. So cultivating a practice of self-awareness is a priority quality for leadership development. This is not so much about how am I acting, how am I behaving. This is about how we think and how we feel in the first instance, at least. So are you worried or anxious? Are you very indecisive about how the program's going and what you should be doing? Or do you feel very calm and relaxed? You feel ready if something unexpected happens, and you feel very clear about the direction and the focus. So it's really important that we're aware of ourselves and how we feel, because we definitely want to be in space number 2 that I just described. And when we cultivate this regular practice and kind of daily practice, check in with yourself, because our thoughts affect our feelings affect our behaviours, and our behaviours feed into our beliefs and value systems. And then when we start to get into these collective value systems, that's where culture sits. So be aware of how you feel, be aware of your needs. Brilliant for your own well-being. It's a very kind of presence practice. It's a very kind of how am I doing? What do I need? Am I okay? Being kind to yourself in the process. But it's also very strong for when we're developing leadership qualities and building emotional intelligence, because this self-awareness is the first stage on the emotional intelligence journey. Number 2, when you're running your programs, and especially when you're kind of reaching out to new areas in the organisation, or perhaps working across a partnership boundary, allow for quality time to build and nurture relationships. And the emphasis here is really on the quality. When we're talking about organisational culture or shifting culture, what we're really talking about is people. We're talking about how people connect with each other. We're talking about how they interact with each other. We're talking about the values that they share or don't share. We're talking about the beliefs that they hold, and maybe the beliefs that they have shaped together, because those are the strongest beliefs. So in a change program, such as a green plan, what we're trying to do is develop this shared belief around climate and health. We're trying to really place value on the importance of this work, and we're trying to really help people understand this intrinsic connection between what's going on in the wider world and our own health and well-being. We know it's critical. If you've been working in this space for a while, you will know that this is important, and you will know why, and you'll have very strong beliefs about it. And if we tell other people about it, they are, quite likely to agree that yes, that's the case. But what we really want to do is invite them in and help them to understand and give them space to create their own beliefs about this, or create beliefs together, which is even more impactful. And this might sound a bit complicated, but one of the easiest ways to do this is just to create opportunities for people to connect and people to interact, where the purpose is just about listening and learning from each other and understanding, I understand your challenges, you understand mine. Where are our shared values already, and how can we build on those? The purpose is about building trust in a relationship in the early days before we try and do something too significant together. So we're not instantly going in for a giant program, we're just allowing ourselves to get to know each other a bit better first. And I'll tell you why this is important. So if you think about systems change, if you think about the system as a garden, you wouldn't just go into the garden and start throwing seeds around. What you actually want to do is prepare the soil. You want to nurture it. You want to water it. You want to decide where the seeds are going to go. And this work happens early on. So we're really giving our seeds the best chance to grow. But we also never stop nurturing them. We never stop watering them. We never stop weeding and pruning. And you have to think about your relationships across the system in terms of culture change in the same way. Number 3, how we do things is just as important as what we do. So how we do things is just as important as what we do. I'll give you an example of this. You may have decided that you've looked at the data, there's a lot of carbon intensity in, diabetes pathway, for example. So you know that you want to do some work across the diabetes pathway, you want to change some behaviours, you want to put some intervention work in. Great. That's data-led, great, you know it's a good thing to do. You may already have some ideas about what those things are because you've looked at other areas of the system and seen what works and what doesn't work, and you've learned. So you've got some whats. How you run that programme is the difference. Are you very inclusive? Or is it just a couple of you deciding in the background what to do? Are you bringing in patients and the public and carers perhaps, depending on who's going to be impacted by this programme? If you co-design something in a very inclusive process, participation in a process helps to bring interest and investment in the end goal. So the more we can collaborate and co-design, the more likely it's going to encourage people to act and to keep on acting without our regular kind of pushing of the programme along. So these kind of shared values that you want to shape, work together as a team. How do we want to work together? Do we want it to be fun? Because this is a really heavy topic and actually we're all getting a bit bogged down in climate anxiety. So how can we make it fun? And then takes a lightness to this work. It makes it more likely to inject enthusiasm into it. Do we want to run our programs with kindness? It's a really beautiful quality to bring to any program. We're going to do it with kindness. So how do you want to work together? Invite people in and create that curiosity and help to bring a sense of belonging to the program. We all want to belong, but we want to make sure that people see this green program as all of ours and not just yours. It's something that they feel like it's theirs, and that's when people get more invested in the end goal. So how can you, as a program leader, help people feel like they belong in this climate and health space? That's the goal. So number 4 is going back to the leadership development side of things. So this is about learning to be vulnerable with yourself and with others. And I'm using the word vulnerability here in a slightly different way to how we often use it in health and care. So we're not talking about at risk or fragility. We're talking about being strong enough to be confident with our own vulnerabilities and our own challenges. And this is a really core part of building emotional intelligence. A lot of leadership development work is about building and strengthening our emotional intelligence. So this is a practice of inward reflection. So number 1 that we shared earlier, that self-awareness, inward reflection. It's changing our thought patterns and behaviours to align to help us to meet our end goals. It's how we motivate ourselves and others. It's how we build effective relationships and how we nurture and manage those and make sure we build empathy into those relationships as well. So that's your emotional intelligence cycle. And the key here is the cycle cannot be achieved without understanding and feeling our emotions. So we can't build emotional intelligence unless we're prepared to access our emotions. And this in itself is challenging because a lot of our kind of culture, Western culture, a lot of global culture actually, showing emotion is bad, it's weak, it's not for the workplace. It's seen as this thing that we don't want to have, but actually this is very damaging to our growth because emotion is just a physical reaction in our body. It's energy in motion, emotion. So we need it. It's there for a reason, but we need to learn how to use it effectively and how to use it as a tool for growth and development and a tool for affecting change. So awareness of emotion is growth, and kind of showing emotion and sharing emotion is growth. And that is part of the mindset that we really want to build into the how that we do things. And number 5, give culture change time to arrive. This isn't prescriptive work. It's not as simple as measuring carbon reduction. And even that can be complex, we know, but it's not a mathematical equation, excuse me, because this is about beliefs and values and people, and it takes a long time to form and cement beliefs and values. But when they are there, they're a hugely effective tool to help deliver change. So we have to give them time. We have to, kind of accept that this is a journey, and especially in this work that we're doing in climate change, in biodiversity depletion, in kind of creating a better world. This is a never-ending journey, really, isn't it? We're never going to stop trying to make the world better. And if you think about the programme goals in sustainability plans kind of 5 years ago, it was about making things less bad. 10% reduction, 20% reduction. Now we're talking to net zero in quite a short time scale relatively. So actually that's a huge step forward. But even then the goal is only neutral. But even as we have this goal, we're already thinking in terms of regenerative ways of working and net positive. So we're always changing the goalposts. We've got to accept that this is a journey and really find ways to recognise progress in the small changes, especially in the early days. Remember that a lot of this work of building the beliefs and values is under the surface. We don't really see it to begin with. We just see how effective it can help our change later on. So we can find ways of measuring things, but it just needs to be with a different approach. And also just not thinking of this as a long slog, because it's only going to make it more stressful, more frustrating, and probably take a bit longer. So if you're doing a lot of work in this area, if you're really being inclusive, if you're really co-producing, if you're really working on your own growth as a leader, then you can take a step back and have a bit of trust in this process that the culture is going to arrive. And also have a bit of reflection on yourself. This is point 6. I wasn't going to go into this one, but just appreciate the work that you are putting in so far today. Super important that we appreciate our own roles in this work. We don't often give enough time to that. So, to recap, the 5 insights: checking in with yourself first and really cultivating a regular practice of self-awareness on how you think and how you feel. Great for your own well-being, also great for your program. Allow quality time to build and nurture relationships, and never stop putting energy into how you look after those relationships. Remember that how we do things is just as important as what we do, and define your how together. It's not something that you decide on your own as a program leader. It's about finding ways that you can help other people to feel like they belong in the climate and health space. Learn to be vulnerable with yourself and with others, And remember that you cannot build emotional intelligence if you're not prepared to access your emotions. And number 5 is about giving culture change time to arrive. And if you've done all the work, have a little bit of trust in the process and in yourself. If you found this video helpful and insightful or useful, we are running a 10-week leadership development program for people who are running or delivering green programs and green plans within climate and health. It's very focused on leadership development. So there's a lot of time spent on building emotional intelligence, as we kind of discussed in the video, but also the very practical exercises are catered and steered towards ways that you can use this insight in your own green plans and programs. So it's kind of developing the person while helping them to develop the program. So you can find all the links and information below this video. It's 14 weeks of learning spread out. So it's 10 weeks of learning spread out over 14 weeks. So we really give you time to integrate that learning into your own plans and programs. And it starts on the 30th of November and finishes in February. So it's perfectly timed to help you lead into your green plan refresh. So if you have any questions, again, my name is Briony Pete, and you can find all of my contact details in the video below.